So don't assess whether you like golf or surfing or real estate business generation activities until you've done it enough times to get proficient. Then you have the ability to assess whether you like it. Remember, you don't have to like the activity. You just got to like the results, and that'll motivate you through all the failure because real estate is a numbers game. Hey guys, it's Brian Icenhower. So happy you're here today. I got some exciting stuff to talk about. I want to talk to you about real estate motivation. This is pretty powerful, especially as it applies to the mindset of agents, the evolution of real estate agents as they're growing to the next level, whatever level that may be. And this could be, whether you're an agent yourself and you want to increase your own production, or whether you're real estate leadership and you're trying to motivate and train agents to kind of do the uncomfortable work that you need to do in order to generate new business. And that uncomfortable work usually comes around business generation, some sort of business generation activity. We're trying to get new business we don't have, as opposed to business servicing activities, right? Where we're trying to take care of our existing clients, show property to our existing clients, handle our transactions. What we do, we're people pleasers by natures, as humans. So we tend to take care of the bird in the hand. I mean, that's the old adage, right? First, because it's more comfortable to us. It's much easier to spend all of our time with that one buyer that needs to find a house, or all that effort with that one listing we just can't get sold, or just constantly putting out fires with our transactions. As things go wrong and getting into that transactional mess. And well, boys, and those are all problems, right? Those are all frustrations, believe it or not. We can't find the house. We can't get the house sold. We're putting out fires and transactions. That'll wear you down. And it's a real negative place to be. So if you're doing that, you'll see agents that's constantly, it's such hard work. They're complaining all the time, justifying why they don't have enough time. And they can really just have like one pending transaction and maybe one listing they're trying to put on the market. And literally because they're just so consumed, you can see they just have a low bandwidth for a lot of transactions, where top solo agents, for example, can handle 8 to 9 pending at once during the busy season with 3 active listings and 2 buyers looking for property. And that's just a mindset difference. They're not getting trapped in the weeds and spinning their wheels on problems that will fix themselves, because there's not that much to putting out fires in a transaction. It's just really just a few phone calls, typically, and most 5 to 10 phone calls. But if you add up how long 10 phone calls in real estate, man, it's like an hour. You know what I mean? Max. So what are you doing with the other 39 hours in the week? And that's a big crisis. So there's a lot of time that's still available, but it's really important if we're trying to go to the next level to continue to grow. And this is true for leaders too. Leaders, typically they're trying to grow their office or their office production, and they do that through recruiting and retention. So leaders, same problem. You could be out there recruiting, or you could be adding more value to your existing agents by helping them grow through training, coaching, engaging agents in your office to help their business grow. Because those are the 2 ways we increase the production of a real estate brokerage. You either get more agents or get the agents you got selling more. So how do you add those 2 productive business generation activities to your day, so you're not just the guy that helps put out fires all week? Otherwise, you're going to be constantly in problems. You're just going to be and the thing you get when you're always solving problems is you start to look for problems. So after you get one solved, you look for the next one. You look for the next one, and your radar's up for problems, and you just become this problem solver, which is very hard. That is very stressful. It's very negative. Not to mention, you never hit your goals. You never increase your income. You never get more free time, because you're always busy and you have to do everything yourself. It is the opposite of a business mindset. There is not one, business guru on this planet that's going to tell you that that's the way you want to focus. You need to focus on growth. You have goals. Usually those goals mean I want to increase my income while also increasing my free time. So somehow it scales at some point if I increase my income, so I can get more time, with my family, with my hobbies, getting a balanced life back. So as we grow, we always want to make sure our business model opens up free time at the same time as more income. We got to have both, or we're in the wrong business model, right? So to do that, that's the only way to do that is to grow. We got to grow production. We got to grow income. But we got to move forward. Whether you're a solo agent, a leader, it doesn't matter. That's the mindset we got to have. So we got to get away from those excuses. So here's the problem you see in real estate a lot, okay? Real estate is a numbers game in the grandest scale. And when we're trying to grow and we're breaking free and we're motivated, which maybe you'll be after this, right? You'll be like all fired up after talking to Brian. I'm going to prep you so you don't run right head face first into a wall, because then we get discouraged. We're going to do something. We're going to carve out time and we're going to do something growth oriented. Here's the problem. Growth oriented activities have very low conversion rates, which means there's going to be a ton of failure, way more failure associated with that activity than there's going to be good results. And that's just the name of the game. And that's the name of the game for anything that's tough usually, or anything that's achievable. I mean, I can tell you there are brokerages all over the place across this country where the broker is stuck. He or she still sells real estate, a lot of it. They're going to have to keep working that hard because their office doesn't have enough production and or agents in the office to cover the costs of the brokerage unless that broker owner sells. That's just the way it typically works. I mean, there are a few exceptions to that, and those are the ones that had their eyes on growth. And they literally, I mean, the broker owner, when they first opened the brokerage, they were hoping to scale, but then they realized, oh my gosh, they've told themselves, because they've tried to recruit or they've tried to train and they tried to do all that, and they hit so much failure, they typically change their mind, because that's human business denial, very, very common. And they started to say, well, I don't want to do that now. So they shut that dream out. They shut those goals out because they don't want to face the fact they couldn't do it. And they say that they don't like all the ways that I could have grown. I don't want to be a recruiting shark. I don't want to be a lead generation salesperson. I just want to help people when they come to me. I don't want to push people into selling. Well, here's the deal. If you're a recruiting shark and you're pushing people into join your brokerage, or you're pushing people into selling or being too pushy, you're doing it the wrong way anyway. There are plenty of ways to help people and still do business generation activities without coming off like a salesperson. But we'll start to say that kind of stuff or I'm going to be too selective. I need to be more selective with my brokerage. That's what every broker owner says, right? So you'll hear that. Same with agents. I really just want to work with the clients that want to work with me. And so they go from being the successful agent dream to part-time, to just taking the deals that come to them, getting another full-time job. I mean, if you look at most, multiple listing services in the country, 60% of the agents in any MLS have not even done a transaction in the last year. That's how, and then about 10 to 15% do 85 to 90% of all the transactions. And those are the few agents that got growth oriented to some degree. It's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy. And you're talking to a guy who's been all over the country, looked at all different MLSs, has owned and operated offices, and still owns quite a few brokerages and multiple different states and MLSs, and every agent mix is the same, guys. It is. And every local, geography. I mean, there's just a vast majority of brokerages that are stuck and agents that are stuck because they've written off their dreams because of the failure associated with growth activities. Let me tell you what that looks like. Here's what failure in growth activities looks like. Here's a comparison. Whether you like baseball or not, it's an easy one. And you'll get this. So a batter in baseball, if they bat 300 after an entire year of a season of baseball, that means that they've hit the ball successfully and gotten on base 30% of the time. That means they're batting 300, and they will make the All-Star team. They will be one of the very top and highest paid baseball players in all of Major League Baseball if they hit the ball and get on base 30% of the time. However, if that batting average falls to 200, meaning they hit the ball 20% of the time and get safely on base, they will likely be cut from the team and are out of Major League Baseball and sent down to the minor leagues. And they won't come up again until they get hit. So that difference between 30% and 20%, it's slight. Both are just riddled with failure, which means you're failing. Even if you make the All-Star team, you're failing 70% of the time. You strike out all the time, but you don't quit. 20%, you're striking out 80%, or you're getting out 80% of the time, right? So you're just moving the needle from 20% to 30%. If you can move the needle that small, which means you'll barely even notice you're failing so much, whether it's 70% of the time or 80% of the time, you're failing so much, it's hard to even notice the difference unless you track it and monitor it. And quite, this is self-serving, but quite frankly, that's what coaches help you do. Otherwise, either way, you're not even going to notice you were on track for the All-Star game unless someone's telling you, which luckily baseball players get a lot of people telling them that, and they keep trying. In real estate, we don't. I'll give you an example. Like almost every type of lead source you've heard of is a good one. And there's tons of them. In fact, at Icenhower Coaching and Consulting, we coach all of them, and we coach the mass majority of the highest producing agents, teams, and productive broker owners in North America. And I'll tell you right now, all of them generate business and grow their brokerages in different shapes and sizes. But if you've heard of it, that should tell you it works. Like open houses work. If you think they don't, then you're not doing them right. Online leads work. Even forced registration leads work. Zillow works. Everything works. And I know a lot of times, oh, that doesn't work. That's too expensive. I've tried that. Those leads are terrible. And we formed all those bad decisions. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't like to bother people. I'd call expireds. That's bad. All of them work. We coach and train all of them because it's different strokes for different folks, but they all work. But we tend to make our mind up on these different things. I'll tell you, they all work, or you wouldn't be hearing about so many people doing them. And I can point out the people that's working it. But understand the reason you're quitting is because you had some failure in there and you quit too soon before the numbers could play out, before you batted in baseball for an entire season and then compared your numbers to other people. Give you an example. Forced registration online leads, like pay-per-click on Google, even Facebook, If you're converting at a 4% rate, you're kicking butt, which means if 100 leads come in, 96 of them are going to be bad. 4 of them are going to be convertible. We'll call it that. Decent. No one's going to jump in your lap with an offer, but I'll tell you, 4% is really good. So understand that. If you don't know that, if no one's tracking your conversion rate, you're going to say, this is terrible. So learning how to filter through them, getting a system from that, getting the tools for that, all of that, that's why you'll see a lot of large teams buying online forced registration leads, is because they've got the people in place to filter through them and to organize them and to follow up with them and nurture them multiple times. And all of a sudden, newer agents that don't have a lot of business themselves and don't have a sphere of influence developed and built yet, they've got something to supplement their income until they can get that set. That does happen. But again, you got to be open-minded to that. You got to be learning-based and come at it with humility and be humble. Obviously, there is a way. The only reason you're just writing it off is because it's denial. I just don't want to have the shame of failing at it. I'm looking for an excuse to quit it. And we do that too much. Why it's so important to have a coach, someone who can kind of determine who you are and what you've learned, and at least for a year, get you settled, or you just go through an entire career ignorant to so many different avenues. And that's what, one thing we do a little bit different in ICC is we custom coaching, man. We can coach just about any type of lead generation or business generation method, any type of real estate team, structure, process, any type of brokerage. They're all different, man. We don't have one system we coach here. We really don't, because I don't believe one size fits all. There's different strokes, different folks, different personalities, different price points, different geographies. The idea that we're just going to, serve a cheeseburger, a quarter pounder with cheese to everybody. Not everybody likes those. Trying to be inclusive and trying to adjust and customize the approach is kind of the secret to our sauce. Let's put it that way. So it's very important you stay open-minded and you learn about all those different things and not shut down your growth activities. It's really, really important. It's also important not to assess whether you like something or not until you're proficient at it. Like write that down. Do not assess whether you like an activity until you become proficient at it. That's crucial. Because if you are trying out a new lead generation method, we know there's going to be tons of failure with it associated. And you're going to go through that failure, and no one likes to fail. So you're going to say, I don't like this. And you will ultimately quit if you assess it before you get good at it. Also remember, you do not have to like the activity so long as you like the results. Crucial. Don't have to like the activity so long as you like the results, because if you can get through all the failure and then get some results, now the results will motivate you through the failure. So but we have to get decent amount of results. So you have to play that numbers game enough times until the results start coming. And you have to have faith based on other people or a coach that has coached people or done it themselves, that the results will come. Because there's a lot of skill development. As you're failing, you're learning to get better. You're learning to hit the ball. You're learning how to handle different situations or objections or problems or technology or whatever it may be to overcome those obstacles. And then you get good at it. And then you can start being more efficient and faster with the process. And then the results come in more faster. And it's only then can you really determine if you like it or not, because now you're proficient. It's very similar to like, I live in California and surf. So surfing, while you're learning to surf, it took me a long time to learn to surf, way back in college. And I'll tell you, it was horrible. I hated it. But I had friends who did it, so I went with them because they just told me, keep doing it. Then ultimately, I hated it because I was getting pounded, drowned, banged against the bottom of the ocean. It was no fun. Salt water, nose, ears, orifices, everything. Horrible. Not fun. Cold. Pacific Ocean's cold. Wetsuits, not good. Then ultimately I got it and I stood up and I rode a surfboard. And I'll tell you, that changed everything. Right. And then as I kept doing it and I got a little bit more proficient at it, once you get there, now it's fun. Right. So you have to kind of get there and say, people will use this a simile with golf too. Same thing. Golf's no fun until you can hit the ball a long ways. Then it starts to get fun, but it's a lot of practice to be able to hit the ball a long ways. So don't assess whether you like golf or surfing or real estate business generation activities until you've done it enough times to get proficient. Then you have the ability to assess whether you like it. Remember, you don't have to like the activity. You just got to like the results, and that'll motivate you through all the failure, because real estate is a numbers game. So make sure you let the numbers play out. Guys, I hope this helps. Make sure you come back to my next episode. We loved having you here today, and I'll see you next time.